Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about no safety. This feature actually was presented in or introduced in FlutterFlow like 6 months ago or 6 months ago or something like that. And we actually covered that in our videos, in our live streams, me and Josh, and we were talking about them. I was talking about that. But today I want to show you actually just give you a quick video, talk about no safety, what is no safety, and how you can actually implement your no safety for every single data type. So I created a custom action, but you should be able to use all those solutions for custom actions and custom widget, and some of them you should be able to use them only in a custom function. But let's get started. So first of all, what is no safety? So let's go over here, and right now I created a custom action which is called no safety, and those are all my arguments that I have in my custom action. Now, all the arguments I actually put all the arguments that FlutterFlow has of the recording of this video. So this is string, integer, double, boolean, and then this is image path, which is actually a string. You can see it over here. It is image path, and video path, audio path, which are all strings. And then we have cover, document reference, orders record. This is actual document. You can see it over here, this actual document, and the document is from orders, so that's why you see orders record. Then we have JSON, which is a type of dynamic, and then we have data, date time range, and longitude and latitude. We have also Google Place, which is FF Place is the data type of it, and we have car strict, which is a data type of car. And the last one, we have users row, which is a super base row of the table users. So all of them are, the total of them are 17. So right now we have 17 different data types in FlutterFlow. It's very important if you are using, so let me show you. Let me tell you what I mean. If you're using, for example, orders record, or if you're using document and you want to implement the no safety feature, you have to exclude from compilation right now as of the recording of this video. Also, if you're using car strict, so if you're using data type, you can see it over here, you should do the same. And I think I'm not sure, I haven't tested that, but I think you have to execute from compilation if you are using also super base row. So if we go over here to the first one, you can see that here this is knowable. This checked is knowable. So what that means is that if unchecked, the action cannot return a no value. What this is, I don't think this information is correct, to be honest, because the idea of that is that your argument, this argument, the first argument, we're talking about the first argument, the first argument can be no. And what means no is that means that string can be equal to no. And no, actually, this is not, I'm not sure if it's a data type, but for sure it's some kind of a type, and it's just a separate type from all other data types, because you can see over here, there are all the data types you can use in the arguments. But no, actually, is a special one. And that means that no, it's nothing. So if you have no, that means it's nothing. So this is empty array or empty array or empty string or zero, it's something. Zero, it's still something. Empty array, it's still an empty array, and empty string, it's still an empty string. But no means that, as you can see over here, I can assign no to everything. It's special, as I said, it's a special, you can just think about it. You can just think about that no is a special kind of data type, and you can assign it to everything. So for example, this is a string data type, and I can assign it to no. And for example, integer is int, so it's an integer data type. I can also assign it. I can also assign it to order doc, for example, which is the data type of orders record. I can also assign it to JSON, and probably you get what I mean. That this can be assigned to every single data type, because this can be because everything can be no. And no means, as I said, that no means that this is nothing in code. So you can just imagine that, for example, if you're accepting, for example, let's say with a string one, let's get the string example. So if you're for example, the string one, so the first argument, you're expecting to have some kind of a title. So this can be, this is my title, and you're expecting this title to came as an argument of your custom action or custom widget or custom function. It doesn't really matter. So as I said, this is applied to all kinds of custom code. So you're expecting some kind of data like this. If you get an empty string, this is also a valuable string or valuable data. But if you get a no, this is also valuable. It will still pass this line because no, it's a valuable valuable assignment of every single data type. But it will get no. And if you get no, and for example, if for the next line, let's say for example that I'm trying to build my title. So very simple thing. Let's try to do a very simple thing, which is to have, for example, my new, and let's concatenate that with a string. And this in reality should give me an error. Right now I don't see the error because for some reason the code analyzer is not working correctly. But for sure, of course, this should be my new title. And right now I should see an error because in reality you cannot assign no to so you're seeing over here. So the argument type of string question mark can be assigned to the parameter of type string. So that is the error that I think most of you people, most of the users, will see and were seeing it before. So the question mark means that you're expecting to have no. And this is actually a good thing. I recommend you always select that you will expect no value in your code. The reason for that, let me show you what I mean. So if I actually remove this question mark over here and save it, you can see that this nullable is now gone, which means that if I accept no, not accept, but if I get no, the whole app will crash. So I get a red screen of that and the whole app will crash. Because I accepted no, because I get it no, but I'm not accepting no. So the best solution for every single code will be to accept no. Just click save and you should, or I should do it like that, question mark, and then save, and then you should see it, yeah. over here. So for every single code, you should accept no as an argument. So when you have arguments, I strongly recommend you to accept no's. So this is checked. By default, this is checked, so don't uncheck it. And then when you return the value, when you have the return, don't check the nullable. In case you want it, and in case you want, and in case you know what you're doing, you can check it. But if you ask me, I recommend you don't check it, because for example, if you want to return a string and you are checking this, that means that you're accepting, you're acknowledging that this custom code, it doesn't matter if it's a custom function, custom widget, or a custom action, it can return no. And if it returns no and you don't have a logic after that, it will break the whole app again. So like I said, don't check that, but when you have don't check nullable in the return value, but if you have an argument, the defined arguments here, always check that like this. So I will disable that, and I will make it the code like this again. So I'll hide the settings. So like you said, this is the error that you will get, because if this is because what you're actually saying is that I want to concatenate a string to no, which you can't do it. You cannot do this. That's why you have almost the same error, which is the argument type no can be assigned to the parameter type of string. So because we have string here, and this string it's no, so this string can be no, and because it can be no, we have to have a no safety check. So what I mean by that, if we have a no safety check like this, we can actually have the same code. So let me go back actually to copy and paste the code that I just had. Let me cut it, delete this line, go over here, and then paste it over here. And now I don't have the error. As you can see over here, I don't have this error. And the error that it's not actually an error, but when it's blue underlined, that means that this variable is not used, and that's why I have this error. If I printed, for example, my new title, the blue underscore will go away. So what we actually done with this single line of code is that we're saying the string, assign this string to the same string. But if the string is no, then assign it to empty string. So this is basically the same as just making an if statement. Now this is just the shorthand of it, and you can just write like that, and you can say string equals to empty string. So this is actually the same thing. Now it's complaining here because it says this cannot be no, because I already have if over here. So, but if I remove it, you can see that it's not complaining anymore, because this cannot be, this right now, this string will never be no. That's why I'm getting this like an error. It's not really an error, but it's just saying me, it's just telling me that this will never, this code will never be executed on line 35. That's why I'm getting this blue line over here. So this is the same, like I said, and I can delete this right now. So this is the no safety check. I hope you understand it. And this is for strings. So if we're talking about, I actually spent time to make no safety checks for all data types that are in FlutterFlow. So my recommendation for you will be to, as I said, always have the check here, the nullable check here, and then always have the first line of your code when you are writing the code, you should be the no safety check. And this is how you check if it's a string. Of course, you can write your default one. So this is like a default value if the string doesn't exist. So let's say this example is the title, it doesn't exist. Then I can just write my default title. Sorry, title, for example. Or you can just leave it an empty string. It both works. And then for integer, I can have no, or I can have my default integer, for example, let's say 33. And for double is the same. This is a double. And then the image path. So the image path over here is just, you can see it over here on line 17. It's just actually a string. It's just a normal string. By the way, the code will be available in the description below, so you can get it from there if you need it. And then this is a simple string, and this is a simple, I recommend you to not leave it with an empty string, not leave it like that, because if you leave it like that and you're using it, it will actually crash the app again because you will not have any image. But if you put a link to an image, like default image, then you're good to go, you should be good to go. And then the video is the same thing, put some random video from the internet, and audio is the same thing, put some example MP3, or you can put your own MP3. So you can put a default MP3 or default image or default video. If you don't get any video, just put a default one. And then the covers, if you don't have a cover, you can actually specify your cover over here. And I specified it blue, but you can actually specify all kinds of covers. In theory, you should be able to see the covers actually, but right now this is not working for some reason. Yeah, let me try it one more time. So let's see if this will work. Unfortunately, it's not working, but yeah, you can specify the cover like that. So this is with the default cover, and let's say it's cyan, for example. Cyan, for example, is my default cover. You can also click over here, which is a good thing actually. You can click over here. Yeah, it's loading a little bit slowly. I don't know why, but yeah, okay. You can see it over here. You can actually move it like that, and you can choose wherever cover you want. And this is another way of representing the default cover. So you can either do it with cover that from ARGB and then put the four numbers from 255 to 0, or you can use it like that with covers.cyan. So when you use it with covers.cyan, you can actually covers.something, you can actually choose from a predefined covers. And then we have the orders reference. So when you have a reference, this is actually a reference to a document. It's just a reference to a document, but in my case, is a reference to the orders document. And the default, and you can also, I recommend you also to put a default reference. So if the reference doesn't exist, if you get a no reference for some reason, then get a default one. So how do you get a default one? You have to write Firebase firestore.instance.doc and then put the reference. So how do you get this reference? It's very easy. You have to actually, in my example, it's a collection called orders, and then click on one of the documents and then click over here in Firestore. And this is the reference, and it's a simple string, and you can copy and paste it over here. So this is like, for example, this is my first reference. I put my first reference. You can see it over here. So this is how you put a default reference if you don't, if you get a null value. But in this case, just remember that you need to, in the settings, you need to exclude from compilation, because if you don't do this, it will not work and you get errors. So just keep that in mind. And then we have the actual document. So if you have an actual document, it depends on your document. In my case, I have orders record, which is actually an orders document. If I want to have a default orders document, I can create one, and this is how I can create it. So create orders record doc, and orders here, you have to change it with your collection name, and make sure to be with a capital first letter. So for example, if it's events, then make sure this is a capital letter E, events. And then here you can create it with your fields. So in my case, I have name as fields. You can see it over here. I have name, date, and order ID, and you can create it like that. So name, this is a default name, date, this is the date right now. This will return a timestamp, and this is datetime.now, and order ID, which is a string as well, and just the order will be no. And then here on the second line, you can just write us, and then orders record. So those two have to be the same. On line 22, I mean on line 22 and 46 in my case should be the same. And then if you have a default, if you want to put a default JSON, you can do it like that. JSON with this will return an empty JSON. It is good actually to return an empty JSON or empty array. If you have a list, actually, I didn't include the list, but maybe it's a good idea to do it right now. So let's say you have a list. It doesn't matter what kind of a list this is. Maybe it will be a list of streaks, but as I said, it doesn't really matter what list you are you're getting. It's not working here because I have to do it like this. So list and then string, and then it should be something like that. And then save. And now you can see the list over here on the right side. The list, the argument will be named names, and it will be a string, and then this is a list. So if you have a list, because we're talking about empty JSON, that's why I remember that we don't have a list. But if you have a list, this is how you actually do it. This is an empty list, so you can do it like that. So it's actually a good idea to return an empty list or empty JSON if you get no value, because if you return that and you have a logic in your code that if it's empty, then show a component or something like that. Otherwise, if you get no, the whole app, I'm saying that like the third time I think in this video, but this is very important. Otherwise, if you get no, the whole app will crash. So that's very important to know. And then let's continue with if you have datetime. So if you have a datetime data type, this is how you can get the default datetime, and the default datetime you can set it to the time of now. So you can do it like this. And if you have a timestamp range, this is the default one that you can get. It's range values, and this is 0, double, and 0. So 0.0, 0.0 us, and you can cast this to datetime range. Of course, as I'm saying this, I'll say one more time, you can change those values if you want the default one to be something else than 0. And then if you have longitude and latitude, so basically if you have a location, map location, you can actually do it like this. So you can have longitude and latitude, and then this is just 0, 0. If you want to have a default location, you can actually put your latitude and longitude as doubles here, and this will be your default location. If you have a map, so in this case it's ffplace, and let me show you what I mean. If I go to gplace is the name of my argument, this is Google Place. So if you have a Google Place in your code and you want to put a no safety check for Google Place, this is how you do it. It's not super easy, but it's not that hard. You have to write ggplace, and then here you have to provide the address, you have to provide the city, the country, the latitude, the longitude, the name, the state, and the zip code. So this is how you do it, and this will be your default. This will be your default Google place. And then we have the data type. So if you have, this is a data type, and the data type is, in my case, is a car data type. So it depends on your data type. If you have a data type, you can do it like that. In my case, the name of the argument is dt, so it's dt equals to dt and then 2 question marks. And then here, if you have a data type, you have to click exclude from compilation, sorry. And then here you have to have create, and then maybe if I zoom a little bit, it will be better. Sorry about that. Now I just remember that I can do that. But yeah, if you have the create car strict, in my case, as I said, it's car, but if you have something else, if your data type is called order, for example, you have to just write create order strict. And the code, if you have the code analyzer up and running, it should actually complete you. If you write create, you should be able to see what kind of data types you can create. So keep in mind that it should be struct. So when you see struct over here, it means that this is a data type. So you can create, because you can create the record data is actually a document, but if you have a struct, so let me show you, this is struct, for example, create car struct. So it's finished. If it's beginning with create, it's finished with struct. That means that this is a data type. It then depends on your data type. In my case, my data type has fields of brand, clear unset fields, cover, create, delete, doors, fields, values, and on sale. So if you have all of them, if you have if you have some fields, and I guess I do, I guess you do, sorry, you have to fill them like this. So in my case, it's brand, and then Kia, and this is a boolean, and then just put true, for example, and this colors, we already talked about that. This is a blue color. Create a boolean, delete is a boolean, doors is an integer, just put a random integer 4. This is field values, this is a JSON data type, that's why I put it at empty JSON, and on sale it's a boolean, that's why I put it true. And the last one will be a super base table, and if you have a super base table, your default value should be, in my case it's users, so that's why it's users row, but if it's yours, it's orders. It can be orders row or whatever table you're using for the super base. And then here you can put an empty JSON, and that's actually how you use no safety check. Before we go, actually, I just wanted to tell you that I have my calendary, and if you think that I'm a guy that can help you or mentoring you, or if you have some issue with FlutterFlow, you can hire me, or you can actually join for free. Those are paid session, but you can join me also for free every Wednesdays. So feel free to join me free so we can talk about it, about your issues. And thank you very much for joining, and I hope you learned something from this video. Thank you. Take care.